Okay, let's dive in. Think about our planet, the one we think we know inside out. But then imagine there's this almost alien world hidden right here. That's
Yeah.
really how vast and unexplored our oceans still are. We've barely scratched the surface, maybe 10%. And for decades, there have been these whispers, these strange stories coming up from the depth, hints of things we just don't understand. So, what is happening in our oceans? Because today, we're looking at a real head scratcher, a baffling, just enormous heat source right smack dab in the middle of the Pacific. And this thing, this anomaly, it's been linked to mass sea life die-offs. And maybe even weirder, a big unexpected jump in ground level ozone right above it. The bad kind of ozone, the pollutant.
Exactly. And that's really our mission for you, the listener, in this deep dive. We want to unpack the findings from various reports, scientific analyses, including a key one from ScienceSealer.com about this phenomenon. Our goal is basically to pull out the most important pieces, the nuggets of knowledge, so you can get a really good handle on this unprecedented and frankly mysterious event.
Right. Because here's where it gets really interesting. This anomaly, this huge patch of superheated water, it actually got a nickname, the Blob.
The blob.
Yeah. And when we say massive, we mean truly massive. At its peak, this heat source covered something like 9 million square kilometers. That's what, 3.5 million square miles, stretching all the way from Mexico clear up to Alaska. Just try to picture that scale for a second.
It's almost, yeah, almost hard to wrap your head around, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it first popped up on the radar back in 2013. From there, it just kept growing, spreading through 2014 into 2015. It seemed to be less obvious in 2016, but there were definitely signs it was still lingering. And initially, the scientists, they figured its main effects would just be, well, in the ocean itself.
But then came this really critical discovery, something that kind of flipped that script. It turned out the blob wasn't just messing with the water. It had this lasting, pretty profound effect on air quality, too.
On the air. Wow.
Yeah. Dan Jaffe from the University of Washington, he studied it. He called it, and I quote, the most unusual meteorological event we've had in decades. He basically said everything they looked at, it all seemed to point back to this one anomaly.
Which tells you just how interconnected these systems are, doesn't it? How delicate that balance is. We can't just look at the ocean in isolation. It has these huge ripple effects in the atmosphere that maybe weren't fully appreciated before this. So the blob wasn't just warming the water then.
No, absolutely not. The impacts were, well, devastating, especially for marine life. This huge warm patch was directly linked to several mass die-offs over those years. We're talking thousands of California sea lions starving because the water was more than 3 degrees Celsius. That's 5 Fahrenheit above average. That's a huge jump.
A really significant jump.
And then there was also this unprecedented mass die-off of seabirds all along the western U.S. It just sounds like alarm bells were ringing everywhere along the coast.
They absolutely were. And connecting the dots, the effects weren't just in the ocean. By April 2015, these higher ocean temperatures, they were directly linked to a bout of really strange weather right across the United States.
Yeah.
It just shows how deeply connected everything is.
And it fueled this massive toxic algae bloom, too, all along the West Coast. Can you imagine being a scientist trying to figure this out? There's this quote from Jamie Jenk, a marine ecologist at Point Blue back in late 2015. She said, I truly cannot give an explanation of what is going on right now. That's how baffling it was, even for the experts.
Wow. Just completely off the
Yeah.
charts.
Now, maybe the most bizarre piece of this whole puzzle. Scientists, right, they'd been carefully tracking ground-level ozone over the U.S. since 2004, routine stuff. But in 2015, they see this dramatic, really strange spike in the levels.
It's a spike in ozone.
Yeah. And their first thought was, no, this can't be right. Like, maybe a mistake, a sensor glitch, calibration error. But they checked. They double-checked, no mistakes. It was really happening.
So to figure that out, the research team, they really went all in. They mapped the blob's whole lifespan in, like, unprecedented detail. Used multiple satellites tracking sea surface temperatures across the Pacific between 2014 and 2016. But then, and this is fascinating, they compared all that data to historical sea surface temperature records, going way back,
How far back?
all the way back to 1910. Over a century of data.
Okay, wow. And what did that comparison show?
Well, that's where the really shocking finding came out. This phenomenon, the blob, was genuinely unlike any natural phenomenon ever seen in recorded history. That's what they concluded. They called it unprecedented in magnitude and duration. Just flat out said there was nothing like it in our historical record.
Nothing like it. That's staggering. So it wasn't just breaking records. It was like a whole new type of event.
Exactly. It forces scientists to rethink their models,
Hmm.
for how the ocean and atmosphere interact. It suggests there might be climate anomalies out there we haven't even conceived of before.
Yeah. Okay, so if it's unprecedented, how did it do it? How does a warm patch of ocean make more ozone pollution in the air?
Yeah, that's the key question. The findings pointed to a specific combo of conditions. You had the warmer temperatures from the blob, obviously,
Mhm.
but that combined with low cloud cover and unusually calm air in the region. And that whole mix basically acted like a chemical factory, producing extra ground-level ozone.
Huh. So it wasn't just the heat itself, but how the heat changed the air conditions.
Precisely. And by June 2015, this pushed ozone levels up quite a bit, somewhere between 3 and 13 parts per billion higher than average over the northwestern U.S., which might not sound like a huge number, but for air quality, it could be pretty significant.
And it had real consequences, didn't it, for people?
Oh, absolutely. In places that already struggle with ozone pollution, like Salt Lake City, Sacramento, this extra bit pushed their levels above the federally allowed limits. So, yeah, a direct public health impact.
So, after all this, mapping it, seeing the impacts, realizing it's unprecedented, what are scientists saying caused it? What is this mysterious heat? Where is it coming from? Is there any leading theory, or is it still just a complete mystery?
Well, that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? And the frustrating answer is scientists, quite frankly, they have no idea.
That's no idea.
No firm idea. That's what makes it so perplexing. It doesn't fit the usual patterns. It's not like a typical El Nino or other known cycles. It behaves differently. So researchers are really grappling with potentially new factors influencing our planet's systems.
Okay, so where did things stand more recently? I mean, is it still there?
Well, the data we're looking at goes up to about February 2017. By then, the ozone spike had thankfully decreased. And the blob itself, it seemed to be shrinking, or at least less massive than it was at its peak. But, and this is important, the research team issued a really clear warning
A warning about what?
that this whole event should serve as a heads up for the future. We already knew, sort of, that higher air temperatures can lead to more ozone. That link was known. But now we understand that sea surface temperatures can also profoundly affect it, directly. It changes how we need to think about climate dynamics, that ocean-atmosphere connection.
And this matters directly to you, the listener, because of health, right? Ground level ozone pollution, we know it's bad for breathing. It can aggravate things like pneumonia, asthma, bronchitis, serious stuff. So this whole event is kind of a stark reminder, isn't it? We need to be prepared if, or maybe when, something like the blob rears its head again.
Exactly. Be prepared.
So let's just quickly recap this deep dive. We've got this absolutely enormous, unprecedented heat anomaly in the Pacific, the Blob. We've seen its devastating impacts, marine die-offs, weird weather, that strange spike in harmful ozone pollution across the western U.S. And yet, the core mystery is still there. Scientists just don't know what's causing this immense heat.
It really is humbling, isn't it? You think about all our technology, our satellites, our probes, and yet a huge part of our own planet, the oceans, is still this profound enigma. Our own alien planet right here is capable of unleashing forces we just don't understand. Forces unlike anything in recorded history. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are down there? What else might the world beneath the waves hold? And are we ready for it?